Enjoy this fascinating interview with Janet Alexandersson, a lawyer, futurist, and community activist. Listen as Janet shares her strategy for finding hidden needs and opportunities in the workplace.
Hi, everyone. It's good to see you all. So I'm very excited for today's guest. This is Janet Alexandersson. She is a lawyer from Sweden who is also a futurist and ever learner with a passion for connective thinking. And she is semi-medium article famous and is a great community activist and leader. We met a few months ago in Las Palmas, and she proceeded to blow my socks off and agreed to be a guest on our webinar. And so today we're going to talk about disrupting businesses, and she's going to make that concept simplified, and it's going to need a little bit of participation, which I think that we can handle. And there's also 2 polls in the poll section. So if you want to go in there and you can vote for number 1, how many problems do you think businesses around the world are solving? We'll start there. And I will let Janet take it away.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. As Brittany said, I'm from Sweden. I'm a lawyer and I'm a business consultant. And I spend most of my time working with contracts and business strategy, but I also have a scientific background and I'm really interested in first principles. And this is kind of what led me to what we're going to talk about today. And it's about how to figure out the industry you're operating in and also finding gaps for opportunities. So this could have saved the taxi industry from being blindsided by Uber, but it also could have predicted the success of companies like Tinder or Airbnb. So we'll just get stuck into it right straight away. So I'll start with introducing you to the method and the concept itself, and then we'll have some time to actually try it out together. So if anyone has an industry they want to try out, have that in the back of your head, and we can do that together later. So the first question that Brittany asked you is, how many problems do you think all the businesses around the world is solving? Yes. And that's my question to you. So do you think it's 100, 1,000, 1,000,000? And while you're answering that, I really wanted you to think about it. So a lot of the things that they're solving for us are things that we don't really actively think about. Like I have a light on in my apartment. I was hungry before, so I went and got a bagel. I'm going to clean my teeth. That's a problem. Is drinking water. Someone provided that for her. That's a problem she had. These are all problems that we face every day, and there's so many of them. And just for a reference, imagine pre-industrial revolution. The problems were very different from the problems we have now, and potentially we were solving new problems because we've made new problems through the internet and through the industries. So what are the guesses that we have? Let's see.
I only see 1 vote.
1 vote. It's a brave person. Okay. 1 to 10. It's a really good guess, to be honest, because the answer is 6. Yeah. There's only 6 problems. And before you go thinking that could not be possible, like every single business is only solving 1 of 6 problems, let me explain. I set the same challenge for myself a bit of 7 years ago. And I kept thinking, and it didn't really make sense until I came across a poem by Rudyard Kipling. And the first part of the poem, which has the answer, goes like this. I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what and why and when, and how and where and who. And those are the 6 problems. What, why, when, how, where, who. And I call them the root problems because every single problem can be filled into one of these archetypes. And I thought that was too simple. And why are people not talking about this? So I didn't really actively do anything with this for a couple of years. I just keep testing the businesses that I came across. And it holds true. And this makes your life as an entrepreneur or innovator or anyone doing business much simpler because you can easily figure out where your business stands in relation to other businesses and what threats there are in your industry, what your peers are up to. So it makes it easy for you to get an overview of your industry. And this is the first part of the concept. There's a different part with solutions later, but let's look at the problems first so that you can grasp them. So the first one is what? And what is related to facts? Oh, I also explained to Brittany before that my computer broke down 10 minutes before this call. So these are my slides.
What I actually like that
better. So what is the first one? And the definition of a what problem is that it relates to facts. So it's either a lack of information or information that needs to be interpreted in some way. So it boils down to dealing with factual information in some way. And that could be through happenings, what is happening now, what happened in the past, what happens if. It could be news, what is going on in the world, or forecasting, what will happen in the future. And an example of a what business is Wikipedia. And it explains what's happened in the past. It's very factual. So those are the what problems. Why is, once again, the slide, analysis related. And they focus on giving people understanding of why things are happening or why someone is doing something. So, and why we have a certain outcome. It deals with research, it deals with behavior, analysis and finding out the cause of something. In marketing, it could be telling the story of why someone should do something or buy something or take some kind of action. It deals with psychology, of why we behave a certain way. And a why business that I'm thinking we all heard about the past couple of weeks is Cambridge Analytica, which is kind of diving into the whys of all of us. And then if we go on to when, it's related to time. And it deals with issues that are connected to some sort of time aspect. So your clients or customers are curious to find out when something will take place with regards to time, or how to remember something that has a timing issue. So it could be schedules and calendars. It could be events and dates in history. Some sort of time dependency where time is the principal problem. So, for example, look at the old TV guide. Then, like, you want to know when the game is on. So then we have how, and how is goal related. And how can I get a desired outcome? It deals with instructions or practical information in some way, and how to do something, how to make something work, how to make it function. And a lot of the tech innovations that you see these days are solving a how problem. Most software solves a how. And the largest how organization in the world is the UN. And they're trying to solve the problem of how can we get all countries in the world to cooperate. But their original problem was more basic, how to prevent a new world war. So far, they've been sort of successful. And then it brings us to where. And where is related to location. So deals with questions concerned with locations, venues, markets, where you go to get what you want. And it doesn't have to be a physical location. It could be a location online. A really well-known ware company is Etsy. So you go and you want to sell or buy handmade goods, and you go to Etsy online. You might also go to your local handcraft market. That's also a venue of some sort. So it's a where. So communities are also solving where. And that's a few of those examples. Finally, we have who. And who is related to people. So it could be a problem of identifying someone with certain attributes or skills. It could be finding the perfect candidate, matching two people, or facilitating some sort of selection process. So recruitment, investigations into people, performance testing, so competitions. So examples of who businesses are Tinder, and another organization is the Olympic Games. They're all looking for either a match or who's the best of something. So now we have these 6 root problems. What about solving them? And that's the second poll we have. Think about all the different kinds of solutions that the business provide that you're coming across. Just all the solutions you have around you, like the internet that we're using right now, your device. How many solutions can you find, and how many do you think there are? And since you've probably clued into the fact that there's a set number, could you narrow it down a bit further than 1 million, probably?
So again, the polls. down at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's the second one. I see one vote. And so while other people are voting, we can do a quick maybe recap because there are new people viewing.
Yeah.
So we are solving for 6 group problems.
What, why, when, how, where, and who.
And all businesses are solving for one of these problems.
One or more. Some more.
One or more.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good distinction. Has there been any company where you have thought that potentially it wasn't one of those problems and you had to dive deeper into it?
No. To be honest, no. They're all pretty clear. Some are difficult because they're solving a lot of problems at the same time, like Facebook. But that, it only makes it difficult to categorize them.
All right. So it seems like it's the 100 to 1,000 category that we're thinking.
Yes. So the solutions I call the standard solutions, and they are information, help, and platform. So there's 4 of them, which is good news. There's even fewer. And as you understand, these are all umbrella solutions. So not all information solutions look the same, but they fall into the same category. And it makes it easier for you to pair them up with the solutions. So all in all, you have 24 types of businesses that could be present in the world. That's it. 4 solutions, 6 problems. So to make this a bit more understandable, let's start with going over the solutions. So the first one is information, and that means that you are providing knowledge of some kind. And it could be in many forms. It could be written, it could be audio, graphics, video. And the key is that your customers and clients are learning something about the problem that they have, either how to manage it on their own or why a problem is happening. It could be any of the problems as long as you're providing information. It's not necessarily how to fix the problem, as I said. It could be just, this is climate change, for example. So the key is if knowledge is being provided in any way, shape, or form, you're dealing with an information solution. So next we have help, and help is about providing assistance. You go in and you take care of the problem for your clients and customers so they don't have to. It's either because they don't really want to or they don't need to because it's easier for someone else to do it. So most service-based businesses fall into this category. And there's so many of them out there. It's a really common category. So if you take care of the problem for your clients and customers, you're providing a help solution. And then we have tools, and tools is something of when someone is providing a product. So they're tangible. They're the most common solution so far. So think about it. If you look at what you're using most weekly, it's probably a tool of some kind. And if you supply tools, you're probably a manufacturer or a distributor of some sort. And it could be food, it could be goods, it could be apps, it could be anything like that. And whatever problem you're solving, it still remains that it's a tool you're providing as a solution. Then we have platforms. And platforms are the most interesting category in this day and age. So we're going to spend a little more time on platforms. And they're about bringing people or things together. And then they provide a place to congregate for a specific purpose. So it could be a venue for discussing things, for selling things, for events. And the solution you're selling is not something that's tangible for people to take away with them, like a product. And it doesn't do all the work for them, like a service. It could do a bit of work, but it doesn't do the whole thing. And it helps your clients and customer to accomplish a different purpose than most of the other solutions. So for example, at an arena, you can help host a sporting event. And communities like Meetup bring people together to take part in activities. The message boards of the past that you discussed different interesting topics or post notes. Universities that you earn a degree. So if you're providing hosting or by a platform, you're offering exposure or collaboration of some kind. It's a platform-based solution. And it's become really popular based on internet. So if you go back in the olden days and look at platforms, they were not easily accessible for anyone to provide. Like you'd have to build the Colosseum, for example. That's not something anyone could do. But now anyone can start a group online or figure out how to make an app that is a platform. So out of the businesses that I mentioned before, Tinder, for example, is a platform. Airbnb is a platform, and Uber is a platform. A lot of the current disruptors that we see out there are platform businesses that got the first mover's advantage. So now you have the 4 standard solutions, and together with the 6 root problems, they give us the variables that make up the first principles of business and the matrix of 6 times 4. Literally all businesses, past, present, and future, can be defined in these 10 variables, and they belong to one of 24 types. So this means you can quickly map out any industry, as long as you know who's operating in it. And once you know and you fill it out, you can see where there's a gap, and that gap can either be an opportunity for you to grab onto if you can do what it takes to fill the gap, but it can also be a threat to your business. Because if you don't fill it, someone else is kind of bound to do that. So since I lost my slides, I have very low-tech ways of showing you. But we'll start with Uber. And we'll do the how vertical, because that's where they're falling. So how to get from A to B. The first one would be information about how to build a car to get you, or maybe build a bike. The second one would be a service where taxis fall. You call them, they take you. You don't have to do anything yourself. The tool would be a car, so you can drive yourself. And the platform is Uber. And it connects to, how can I explain it best? So platforms are not one-sided. It connects more than one stakeholder. So it connects the people wanting to be transported with the taxi drivers that want to have people to transport. So that is the how end of business. And if we look into Tinder, for information, we have the game, the book. For service, we have services like Talkify. They offer a personal matchmaking service where you send in your profile, they look through it, they find someone in their network that's suitable for you, very hands-on. The next one is classified ads. It was a tool you could use to get exposure in a newspaper. And finally, Tinder, which is a platform, once again, where people with different interests and love interests can find their match. Tinder is also doing a bit of advertising, so that's a third thing. If we look at Airbnb, the information part would be a travel guide on where to stay. The next one would be a hotel, giving you a service of here you can stay. And then you have tents, for example, or caravans or campers where you can just pitch your stay for the night anywhere. And finally, we have Airbnb that provides people with space to give people to stay, with people matching them with people looking for somewhere to stay. And this it's been holding true for a lot of industries lately, that if there is no player in the platform category, they are bound to disrupt the industry somehow. This is what Netflix did as well. It might not hold for a long time, but it's going to change how the industry works. So those are the first categories, and I'm hoping that someone would like to participate so we can really showcase the entire matrix, or at least a couple of verticals. I think you're mute, Brittany. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So if somebody would like to hop on stage with us, if you are thinking about expanding your business or starting a new business, we can dive into this grid to see what would be a good fit for you or where you could really stand out. This is where we get into answering the question, how to disrupt any industry in less than 20 minutes. So if you're ready to disrupt your industry, now is the time. Let's see. Just comment in the comments section and I will invite you onto the screen. And Arnode, Ash, Ivy. Okay, I can do it.
I think we have time for more than one person. Yeah. Yeah. You can do it.
Yeah, I'll start. Let's do this.
So do you have an industry in mind?
Yeah, so
Oh,
publishing. Okay, I'll invite Ivy onto the screen actually, so she can chat with you. Publishing it is. No! Okay, so you can comment.
okay. So the reason that I need people on is because I don't know all of these industries, but I'll be asking you questions so you can answer in the comments. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah?
Perfect.
Okay. So let's start with the how, maybe, of publishing, because that's probably what most people are interested in. Is that okay? Okay. So the how and information is the first question, and that is usually like publishing for dummies, that kind of book. So there's probably a lot of information. A lot of the how and info is used for free these days to create lead magnets. So if you go to a blog, they probably have a thing you can download if you give your email about how to get self-published or how to publish a book. That information is out there. And if you want the high end of that, you probably have to pay for it. So that's a information product. Then if we move on to help in publishing, that's where the publishers come in, the publishing houses. And they're many, they're big, and they're quite guarded. So that's the second one. And if you look to tools, that's all the self-publishing. The Create Space example for Amazon, there's plenty of those. The part where I don't know where the opportunity lies is in the platform at this point, I think. But what is there that could be a platform for publishing? Is there one?
Medium.
Medium. Yes. That is for article publishing, definitely. Medium is a platform.
And you would know, Janet, because you are famous.
I would know.
YouTube.
YouTube is a publishing platform. Yes. Do we have one for books?
Ebooks, regular books, doesn't matter.
No.
What about Book in the Box? Have you heard of them?
Is that a subscription service?
Goodreads is another.
Is that?
Isn't really for.
Do they publish books?
I don't think so. Unless Ivy knows something.
I thought it was recommendations of books. Or that's how I used it.
Yeah. I think
but it is a platform for recommending books. It's just not for publishing. So the platform part is correct for Goodreads.
So it would seem there isn't really a platform for publishing books.
If you look to the example of like Etsy, is there an Etsy for books?
So where I would publish a book and there would be customers on a platform like Etsy looking.
No, it would be you selling your book to a publisher that is shopping for books on a platform.
Oh, not that I know of.
No. And that would be really interesting. So if there's a platform for that brings the two sides together, imagine how the publishing industry with its rigid rules will no longer be needed, because if
I'm writing a book. I need this. Also, Ivy says, interesting. Mind blown.
Yeah, so this is how it works. So you can kind of see publishing is probably...
20 minutes.
No, it doesn't. But that's just one vertical. If you do all of them, it's going to take us a bit longer. But how is usually the most interesting, and it's the most accessible to people. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, it's not going to be something that is high tech. Providing a platform for publishers and book writers to match up, it's not going to be that difficult.
Yeah, it's not really about the tech on this platform. It's more about the putting two communities together and giving them to meet and engage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to start your own publishing company, this is probably a better direction to go than to enter the publishing industry and compete with them. And if you are in the publishing industry, you should be aware that this is probably going to happen. And then make sure that you offer really high-end services that you couldn't get in the platform.
Mm-mm. So is there any need that you see in the marketplace right now that should be filled?
In general?
Yeah, you.
Wow. There's so many. I come across platforms every day. The other day, I was chatting to a friend who's an accountant, and we were also looking to the I think it was the how as well. And in the accounting industry, there's no platform. It's missing for matching accountants with specific. There's tools like that can do it for you, but there's not the matchmaking process of it, and having a platform where you just submit your thing and have it done by an accountant.
So this would be solving the problem of, well, how
to get your books in order by supplying it.
But there are platforms that do that. It's just like, I have to put my books in order if I'm going to use like a Mint or an app or.
But that's a tool. That's a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, that's a tool. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so that's one of them. But I think in general that if you really want to disrupt an industry, platforms are probably the easiest way to go. In industries where there has been a lot of platforms in the past, you would probably do better with a high-end service. So if you look to like the sporting arenas, they're nice, they all look the same, but if you can offer a high-tech, high interaction sporting arena of the future as a service, then you're probably better off than doing another platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's
when there is already a platform option, and so that's not the need that needs filled.
It depends. Is the platform online or offline?
Okay, in this type.
So if the platform is offline, you would do well to do an online platform. If it's already occupied online, there might be a possibility for you to do at least a local version offline. And the offline is probably going to be seen as more VIP in the future.
I like it. So then any other industries we want to do this for?
Do you have a suggestion?
Any suggestions? Wow. What about travel? Let's do travel.
Travel.
Yeah.
Travel, and which one? Which problem?
The where problem, maybe.
The where problem. Okay. So for where and travel guides is what we talked about before.
Yeah.
And where and how and like where and let's see. A service would be the travel planners that give you like a VIP experience. By you say you want to go to Japan and they plan it for you, book all the tickets, and you just have to show up at the airport, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are probably tools that do the same for you. You just type in where you want to go in an app and you get the same thing. I'm not sure. Are there?
I don't think so. I mean, choosing a destination is a problem, I guess, but there are services, I would call them maybe platforms, where there's like groups you can travel with, like Nomad Year or Remote Year.
That's a service.
Wi-Fi service.
Yeah, it's a help.
But then I'm not really aware of anything else. Like usually you're just looking at blogs or.
Yeah. So if there was an app where you could type in that you want to go to Japan, what your budget is, if you're focused on sightseeing or food or sports, and then how long and from where, and get an itinerary and the option to just book everything in one click, that would be interesting. But I haven't seen anything like that.
Neither. All right.
That would sort of bypass the traditional flight booking services, because you're usually looking to get more than just a flight out of your trip.
Yeah, usually the flight is like the means to get there. It's not what you're looking for. People don't travel because they like flying places.
Yeah, so if you can get custom suggestions for an itinerary with all the things that you're interested in seeing in one venue, it's probably much easier for you to just buy everything with one click instead of having to go to each and every service. and buy them all together. So this would be a platform solution.
That makes sense. Okay. Let's see. There's Arnaud, Ash. Do you guys have any industries that you want to disrupt in 20 minutes?
I know it could be any. Yeah,
it could be any. I know that Ivy does a lot of marketing also. Can talk about some marketing services. Nonprofits.
Who are we talking? Who with regards to the staff, or who to help, or
staffing?
Okay, that's interesting. Once again, information is not really an interesting category for who. It's going to be books about how to hire properly and HR and all these things. For help, there's recruiters. They go in and do it for you the traditional way. For the people, there's a tool maybe like resume banks. You can go in and just check people randomly, like they're one-sided. Or you can post. I'm not sure how the tool would look like in this industry, but I know that there's some platforms like Idealista. Do you know of a tool? I have not heard of that. So could you describe it? Oh, it's a platform. Okay.
So there's no tools, but there's a platform. Could you go back and do a tool and take over the industry?
If you do the right tool, I'm pretty sure you could do something interesting with that. For the platform, I think that's kind of saturated. So a tool that just gives you one option instead of having to go through a lot of options would probably be really interesting.
Mm. Love it. What has come out of doing this that you know of? Okay, let's just do marketing.
Marketing, and which one?
Ooh, yeah, which probably.
Or do you want to do all of them? We could do that too, but that's going to take a bit longer. It's probably better to choose a more interesting one.
Mm.
Why?
Why?
Why is a difficult category, and there's very few businesses operating in the why category. So the why of marketing is information. Let's match it with information. And that's, once again, information of why you should be posting certain kinds of messages, why people behave or react to certain kinds of messages certain ways. And then if you look into services, can anyone think of anything that would be a service in the why and marketing?
I'm not sure I understand like the why in marketing in terms of a problem. So are you trying to...
So why are people behaving in a certain way? Or why do they need a product?
Would this be more
analyzing or researching? So pardon?
Like marketing research? You're discovering like behavioral analysis?
Yeah. So that's the essence of Cambridge Analytica.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Which is a good example.
Yeah. So for a service, they did it for people. Yeah.
Okay, and so you're thinking about tools?
Tools? Yep. Health?
Oh.
I don't understand the question.
Yeah. Are you...
Oh, help. You mean help. Okay. So Nielsen, is that a ratings company? Because this is the US based, so I'm not entirely sure what they do, but they assist in research. Yeah. So that would be a help. That would be a help. If they do it for someone else so that they don't have to do it, it's a help.
It's a marketing research firm, and they specialize in data. And okay.
Yep, that would be help.
Help. As definitely. Would somebody like any market research company, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for tools, you can get a lot of the why from, for example, Google Analytics. Exactly.
Boom.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we have information, help, tools. Is there a platform? Am I missing? Yeah, that's the fourth one.
Yeah. So to me, a platform would look like people supplying data to people wanting data, and you match them up.
But wouldn't that be like Facebook?
They're not quite supposed to do that because of privacy. But in some ways, yes, they are doing that. But companies...
Well, leverage solves all of the problems in all of the categories. So that's easy.
Yeah, so it's really kind of a marketplace for statistics or for research data. And too far removed from scientific academia to know if there's something like this.
Okay.
Yeah. But for marketing, that's the question, right? Is there anything like that? I know there's lists you can buy. Census related, yes.
Yeah. But that's data that's collected by the government, yeah. And they're... So people aren't...
So that's more of a product, maybe.
Communities, yes. There is
so something more crowdsourced, probably.
There is
be interesting for the why.
It's called... It's actually for Gen Z, and they're doing a bunch of market research and connecting that generation with want to market to them. And they're positioning themselves into the Gen Z market as saying, like, oh, you want to be heard, and also we'll pay you. And so they're actually connecting the two.
Yeah.
That kind of example. And so I still kind of want to go back to the question I asked you earlier. What is like the biggest need that you think somebody could fill and really disrupt an industry?
Wow, there's so many out there. I think a lot of potential is in the medical field. And a lot of apps are trying now or products are trying to give personalized medicines, for example. So if this could be done through more of a platform approach, it could be easier to reach more people. So you connect the pharma with people directly through a platform.
Okay.
That would be a big disruptor. Because we're very used to the medicine that we have now being mostly geared towards males, because they're the ones that they do the testing for. And we accept this as the baseline. But in reality, we need medicine that is geared to children. We need medicine that's geared to women. And we don't really have that at this moment. So that makes it more interesting, I think. And if we could do that through a platform approach, it would disrupt a lot of how the pharma industry works. Because there's a lot of gateways. There's a lot of, I know testing and all the permissions from governments come a bit in the way here. But if you could get around that legally, that would be a very interesting opportunity.
Nice. So I have a couple of new viewers. So Bill and Ben, if either of you want to throw in the comments an industry that you would like to explore or disrupt, you can do that now. And maybe we can give you a quick recap if you had 4 minutes to recap everything that you've already talked about.
Okay, so I have talked about how to find white space in any industry and find opportunities for disruption, discover what threats there are in your industry to make sure that your competition is not going to edge you out. And to do this, I have a method that's called 6x4, and it's based on 6 problems and 4 solutions. So the 6 problems are archetypes, and they're represent all the problems that any business could solve ever. And that's what, why, when, where, how, who. And the solutions to those problems are only 4. And that's information, help, tool, or platform. So together, these combine into making 24 types of businesses, kind of business personality types, if you so will. And that makes it really easy for you to map out what's going on in any industry, to see where opportunities for disruptions are, or incorporate this in your SWOT analysis. So we've been practicing some of the matrix, as you call it, with the 24 types to see how it applies in practice. So using this method, you could have predicted some of the successes that we've seen in recent years, like Netflix and Uber. But we're also looking to the future to see where the gaps are and how industries could change, and if that could be something that you could do.
Does anyone have any questions for Janet about what she's talked about today, or anything else? No questions. Anything else that people should know as they're endeavoring to disrupt industries?
I think the most important is to make sure that if you find a gap, it might not be yours to fill. So it's really easy to think that just because the opportunity is there, it's a good time to go in and do something about it. But you have to match your skills, because if you go in and start like disrupting the waters, someone's going to notice. And if they can do it better than you, they are going to do it better than you. Otherwise, it's probably better to let the bear sleep as long as you can, if it's something that's threatening your industry, and make sure that you compensate by providing your service to a more high-end customer, because you're less vulnerable to the new services. If we take Uber, for example, the limo industry is still doing quite fine, or specialty cars industries for transportation is doing fine, whereas the cars that are similar to Uber are more suffering. Mm. But at the same time, you don't hold the key to a forever advantage. Uber is not doing as great as they did, and they have a lot of competition in their category now as well. So you have to do it right. Make sure that you have the competency to carry out the disruption you're looking for.
Are you disrupting any industries these days?
I am not disrupting any industries these days, which is a bit sad. But yes, no, I'm not.
You're letting the bear sleep?
I'm letting the bear sleep. Afraid of bears. It's better that way. No, so yeah, I have more fun helping other people do it. That's my thing. So no disruption.
Okay. I'm not really disrupting anything either, except I guess I'm a part of Leverage and they are. So I'm a part of the disruption. And so Janet, I have a question here. What area or industry do you see the next disruption?
That is a big question. But I think in many ways, so I have two answers to that. I think the first one is going to be in networking, social networking. So we're going to see something that is a reaction to Facebook. Not in the way that it's going to make Facebook go away, but it's just going to provide healthy competition. I'm not sure in which type of solution that is going to be, if that's also going to be a platform or if that's going to be something else, but I can see that happening. Otherwise, there's so many fields where you have the normal rigid service provider, and that is the norm. You go see one person, you find your one personal thing, but any industry that is really focused on that is going to be vulnerable for disruption by a platform. So where you usually have to, in a cumbersome way, or maybe even in an easy way, but there's just one channel to one person all the time, whereas you want the channel to be for multiple people. And I don't have a specific industry in mind at the moment. I know there's...
Yeah, some examples.
Accounting would be one. We mentioned that before. The legal industry is also ready for some changes, partly with regards to how you access a lawyer, but also with regards to how you adjudicate law. So for now, we're used to having really long wait times in most countries for getting your case heard. But if we could have a platform and an online version of courts for small claims, for example, we could be a lot more efficient.
Online court? Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So if we compare to Sweden, a lot of the courts actually have these days online proceedings. You can attend via link, but that's only for the traditional sense of a court case. But if you had lawyers that works as judges or jury members that are available online, you could have a lot more proceedings going on in a lot more public way than you have now. So I think that's an interesting industry.
Probably also finance, finance and wealth managers.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of industries that don't have a platform, but obviously the biggest reward would be from the biggest industries. And so healthcare, law, finance.
Exactly. And those are also very traditional industries. And they have been quite regulated, but I think for the global world that we're living in, it doesn't make sense to regulate them as heavily on a national basis anymore. And I think we're moving away from that in some sense. So that leaves it open to creating more like a platform for these industries. So yeah, those are definitely the big ones.
Well, if anyone has any additional question, Janet, it can be found on Slack. She's in our team. You can DM her or message her in the channel. And she'll be there, and we'll see you all next week. Janet, thank you so much for giving us your time. I'm excited to see some disruption happening.